here at Adobe Summit in 2023 here in Las Vegas. I'm with Nicole Cornelson. Thank you for coming, Nicole. The purpose of today is just to really talk a little bit about you and our relationship with Adobe platform that is, and how we work with one another. So if you don't mind, I'll kick us off with our first question. Can you give us some background info on Adobe and Platform? How do you feel like the relationship has come, at least within the last 12 months, 13 months?
Happy to. Great. Good to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. So the opportunity to work with Platform.sh for the Adobe Commerce product is super critical for us being able to service our customers in a very automated way. The product is very technical, it's run in the cloud, and there's a lot to it for customers implementing, and the tool set that is provided to us by Platform.sh really helps the customer be enabled and also be able to run their commerce sites. So it's a great relationship. We have had many on-sites in Austin and other places, and it's really good to have a partnership where we can actually spend time learning about what the needs are of the customer as well as the product, and kind of evolve together, I would say.
Yeah, I have to say we really appreciate the way that Adobe has been leaning into the relationship, at least for the last year or so, and it's very evident with all the work and progress that we've been making. So maybe you could tell me why does it make sense for Adobe Commerce to have chosen the PaaS approach versus bare metal hardware or traditional managed hosting?
Sure. Well, it is a good question, but if you look at the way the product is actually, again, managed and run by the customer, it's a single instance, it's run in the cloud, but there's a lot of opportunity to do things with that platform. And that requires tool sets and ability to build out functionality like CI/CD and other things. So that is the reason that we knew we needed a PaaS approach, because it is single instance and customers have to run it. So it's very powerful. It puts a lot of capability into the customer's hands, and it allows us to, build the product that we need, but not necessarily have to build tool sets all around it for every single customer.
How do you think the digital agencies and integrators or integration partners are benefiting from the cloud?
Yeah, so the cloud is great because there's just a lot of opportunity to know about what is going on with the system. So if I'm a systems integrator and I've deployed a one-to-many website setup for commerce, having those capabilities and ability to automate what goes on around the application is super important. So it's just basically saving time and saving research and saving all of the things when we have, kind of repeated known things that happen with websites. Automate, give a lot of good observability as well. That's super critical. And so when SIs are building or supporting, it's just important to have all of that capability ready.
Yeah, I can tell you as a quick anecdote that we've talked to agencies, and a lot of them are really trying to build the same sort of SaaS or PaaS capabilities that we've integrated into our service. And
right.
It takes years and a lot of investment to do it, and what we've been able to do with you guys has been incredible.
Yeah, it's true.
How does Adobe and Platform align our values and work in partnership for the good of the customer?
Yeah. That's a really good question too. So I would say one of the things that I really hear when your CEO is talking is lots of discussion around, being better for the planet, some of the green initiatives, working on basically not using as much system resource, being very cognizant about how to manage our customers' workloads. All of those pieces are very aligned to what Adobe thinks about and what we want to do. And then on the other part of it is very customer focused, right? It's really driven based off what customers are looking for, and those would be the merchants themselves. So I think this whole ability to kind of work together with Platform.sh in a way where we both feel like we're making progress is super beneficial.
Yeah, agreed. What about the story? So are you familiar with the story that, well, at least what is the story of that first year that we've been working together since we started the new relationship? partnership?
Yeah, for sure. So I think if I remember the most clearly is when you all were in town a year, maybe 15 months ago, and we really started working on customer SLAs. And that became just really enlightening for us to not only build the tooling so that we could do that better, but that you all were willing to come to the table and kind of grind that out. Like that was not easy, understanding how we provision, how fast we provision, how we think about the customers, getting their sites up in a timely manner. And it was eye-opening for me, just really thinking about those problems and how we in engineering can help contribute to whatever Platform.sh needs so that the whole customer experience gets better. And we were really on the same page about that, and we're now tracking with some great metrics, and I just think that was amazing.
Yeah, along the same lines, what do you feel like some of the big successes that we've had in 2022 and since we signed the new partnership?
Yeah, so we've really worked on our roadmap together, which I think is super, super important. We have folks on the engineering side for Adobe Commerce partnered directly with folks on Platform.sh side, so that when we say we're going to go do a thing, we're going to build out a capability, we're not saying it in a vacuum. We're working together to try to discuss how we get that done, how we can approach, bringing the right technical leaders in to say, like, what about this, and how are you really going to solve that problem? But we get the job done, and I think that has happened so much faster in the last year, and we really just appreciate that with the partnership and the ability to say, like, you know, we really do need to drive these capabilities into the product.
Yeah, you mentioned that we were driving some of the SLAs, improving the provisioning timelines, and that. Those were some of the new things that you learned. What are some other new things that you learned in the last year?
Yeah, so in the cloud roadmap itself, we had some announcements here at Summit, but we are working on some more cloud native capabilities around blue-green deployments and auto scaling for our customers. These are very important capabilities for enterprise and all customers, because of course we want to make changes to our sites, but we also don't want to have the customer be affected by those changes. And on the auto scaling side, it kind of goes back to the green initiative that we were talking about. We need to provide the system resource when it's required, but then we need to also take it back down and make sure we're not overspending money or resource in that area.
So today, what are some of the conversations that we're having between our teams, whether it's on the product and engineering side or otherwise?
Yeah, so I think, we're kind of constantly talking. I believe we have a QBR coming up in the next couple of weeks. So every quarter we get together and we analyze the work that we've contributed together. That gives us an opportunity to not only give good kudos back to the teams for all their hard work, but also see what we need to approach for the next quarter. And basically we see this as a multi-year partnership. We know everything's not going to be delivered in one quarter, so we have to keep working towards our bigger vision to provide all these capabilities to the customer.
Yeah, agreed. I look forward for the next QBR. I think it's going to be in a week or so, we're getting ready for it now.
Good.
I'm going to switch a little bit. So where do you see Adobe and Platform going from here in 2023 and even beyond in the next year?
Yeah, I think the future is wide open. Some of the opportunities we have with our new customers, some of the opportunities we have with these new features I was bringing up, it's really, like I said, a multi-year journey. And so we just keep imagining the things that we need to improve and develop in the product together. And then I also think things we don't know about yet will also be coming into play as we continue to deliver and work on these different features.
Yeah, agreed. We look forward to new requests coming in from customers as teams are going out and trying to drive the RFP process and the sales process. We're going to learn more from what the market and what the customers are asking.
For sure.
So we're excited about that.
Yeah.
Well, that brings me to the end. I appreciate your time, Nicole, and we're really proud of the relationship that we have with Adobe. We've been working really hard at in making improvements, but also making sure that other folks know that Platform has a real role in the Adobe Commerce Cloud experience, and we appreciate you taking the time talking to us today.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Jeries.
Thank you.
All right.